Hello and welcome to Review Me Ola. Today, I'm really excited to share my thoughts on the book The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. It's a self-help and personal development book that focuses on overcoming the inner resistance that commonly prevents us from pursuing our creative goals and living a fulfilling life. The book offers a unique perspective on the problem, and it provides practical tools and strategies to help us overcome resistance and turn pro. As someone who has struggled with self-sabotage, I found this book to be really insightful, as it helped me understand that I can overcome the obstacle called resistance and that I am not alone in this struggle. Throughout this review, I'll be sharing some of the book's interesting ideas, providing my thoughts on them, and finally, giving you my honest opinion and rating of The War of Art. So let's get started. What is a creative goal? Now, what exactly is a creative goal? While reading, I found myself asking questions such as, is this creative goal really worth pursuing? Why is it even worth pursuing? And does it really guarantee a fulfilling life for me? While reading the book, I wanted to find answers to some of the questions, and I'm going to help break down the answers I found. One word that sticks out to me is creative goal. So what is creative goal? Well, when you think about things like writing, painting, filmmaking, music, entrepreneurship, or anything that allows you to express some form of beauty and innovation, you realize that all these things require some form of creativity. Steven Pressfield argues that every single human being has an innate desire to bring something new and beautiful into their lives through their unique creative expression. This desire can be considered as a creative goal. And I would also say, a creative goal is the desire to tap into your potential, to do something positive and share it with the world. So something as big as writing a best-selling novel, starting a book review YouTube channel, or even starting a daily writing habit, they are all creative goals. Then I asked myself, if we all have this innate desire, why aren't we acting on it? If this truly has the potential to give us a fulfilling life, why are there a lot of unhappy people? Why is it so difficult to tap into the creative potential that you claim we have? Resistance. The more important a call or action is to our soul's evolution, the more resistance we will feel towards pursuing it. Steven Pressfield, The War of Art. Everyone is met with something called inner resistance, whose only goal is to stop you from going through with your innate desire to create. The concept of inner resistance is the central theme of the book. I would say that inner resistance is the force that exists within each of us, whose one and only goal is to hold us back from pursuing something we desire to do. It takes different forms like fear, self-doubt, procrastination, laziness, rational thinking. It is that voice that tells us we are not good enough. It is that voice that tells us if we fail, what's going to happen next. It's that voice that tells us we should give up before we even start, because you cannot achieve this, so just stop. It's the voice that tells us we have other important things to do. It's the fear of the unknown and the fear of failure. Well, that's what the book tells us it is. And to overcome resistance, we need to understand it and acknowledge it when it comes. Because as long as you're alive, it's coming for you. And it's going to do everything in its power to stop you from achieving your creative goal. Why does something as detestable as this thing called resistance even exist? Well, I would say the reason is growth. As I always tell myself, You know you have achieved growth when the things that used to make you uncomfortable now feel comfortable and familiar. Growth often requires stepping out of our comfort zone, facing uncomfortable challenges and obstacles, and this may even involve pain. But it's through these challenges that we learn, grow, and become better versions of ourselves. We could think about resistance not as the enemy, but as the compass that points us towards the growth we seek. Or as Steven Pressfield says, resistance is the indicator that shows us what we most need to do. So we've spoken a lot about resistance, and the book also tells us about the ways we can overcome resistance. The War of Art introduces a concept called turning pro, and this is one way to overcome inner resistance. But what is turning pro, and how do we turn pro? When you make the decision to take a certain field seriously, to commit yourself to it fully, and to adopt a disciplined approach to work, you have just transitioned from an amateur mindset to a professional one, and this is what turning pro is all about. When I realized what turning pro was all about, the first thing that popped into my head was achieving mastery. In my opinion, striving for mastering any field is a major step towards turning pro. So how do we do this? How do we turn pro? How do we defeat resistance and become professionals in our fields? Pressfield suggests several actions we can take. The first step is to recognize that we are responsible for our own success or failure. We are not allowed to blame external circumstances for our lack of progress. Ownership of our lives and work is what we need to fully commit ourselves to. Let's say you want to start a YouTube channel. There's something you're really passionate about, and you would love to create content around it. Or you want to start a side business, and from your research, YouTube is one of the ways you've decided to go about it. But on your way to starting, you feel really overwhelmed by the competition, or you start thinking your videos wouldn't be good enough. One thing you can do is to acknowledge that there would always be competition, and that your videos won't be perfect right away. But as long as you actively put in effort and actively keep learning through the process, learning from your mistakes, from your competition, and from the feedback you get, making sure you always get back up whenever you fail, because failure is necessary in the journey we're on. You will build a successful channel over time. I wouldn't lie to you, starting out these things could become ridiculously difficult, but as long as you tell yourself, if I have not tried, I can never know, and you always start the process, you are one step closer to success. The second thing Pressfield suggests we do is to develop a professional mindset. This means cultivating habits such as showing up to work every day, working consistently, and always prioritizing your work over all forms of distractions. He goes on to make us understand that what's important is not the outcome of your work, but the process. And excellence is what we should strive for in everything we do. The third point is to develop a support system. Pressfield also speaks about developing a network of like-minded individuals, resources, and tools that can help us achieve our goals and overcome the challenges we will face. These include finding a mentor or coach, sharing our work with people, and being receptive to feedback and criticism, tracking our progress, setting deadlines, staying positive throughout the process, and making sure we support others whenever we can. Taking us back to the YouTube example, here are some things you could do. Find a mentor on YouTube or LinkedIn. Join YouTube communities, Facebook groups, or subreddits related to your niche. Share your videos on those communities and ask for honest feedback. Use a project management tool to keep track of your progress. Be a positive influence on others. Support other creators' channels and participate in online discussions. These are some examples of things you can do to create your support system, and the purpose is to stay accountable, motivated, and focused on your goals. Finally, turning pro means embracing our fears and taking action despite them. We need to be willing to take risks, face our doubts and insecurities, and push ourselves outside our comfort zone. By doing so, we can overcome inner resistance and achieve our creative goals. Now let me give a quick recap, because that's a whole lot to take in. So to overcome inner resistance, you must recognize it and start the process of turning pro. You must start small, you must create a routine, you must stay committed, you must get support, and you must embrace failure. These are just a few examples and strategies that Pressfield discusses in The War of Art. And by using these techniques, you can learn to overcome inner resistance. Pressfield's final take on the subject is that turning pro is a lifelong journey, and overcoming resistance is an ongoing process. The importance of discipline, hard work, and persistence cannot be overemphasized, and he encourages readers to take responsibility for their own lives in creative pursuits. Overall, Pressfield's message is a powerful one. We all have the potential to be creative and accomplish great things, but inner resistance can hold us back if we let it. By recognizing and overcoming resistance, and by committing to our craft and pursuing our creative goals with discipline and determination, we can become exceptional. I asked the question in the beginning, is pursuing a creative goal really something worth doing? Well, I found out that that's a subjective question, and the answer can vary from person to person. Pressfield's perspective in The War of Art is that pursuing a creative goal is worth it, and he believes that creative expression is an integral part of being a human, and this can lead to a fulfilling life. However, whether or not a particular creative goal is worth pursuing is ultimately up to you. My request to you is to find that craft you desire to be exceptional at and start the process. Now, I did have my own issues, I did have my own biases towards the book while reading it, and it's really not uncommon to have preconceived notions that affect how you interpret and apply the concepts you learn from the book or any source of information. I had some biases towards describing resistance as rational thinking, common sense, or practicality, but I realized it's not necessarily based on those three things. Rather, it refers to the force within us that prevents us from taking action towards our goals, pursuing our creative endeavors, or making positive changes in our lives. And if rational thinking, common sense, or practicality does exactly that, then it could be considered as resistance. Well, the book says it should be considered as resistance. Yeah, so that's everything on The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it informative and helpful. If you enjoyed the content, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more book reviews on self-development, finance, autobiographies, and history. The purpose of this channel is to read and review books that would help people grow. I really want to help people gain understanding about life and reach the next level. That's one goal, that's one desire I have. And after reading the book, The War of Art, I decided to start a YouTube channel on that. And I'm gonna make sure I beat resistance. Also, don't forget to grab a copy of the book we covered in this video using the link in the description below. Thank you again for your support, and I look forward to sharing more great reads with you in future. God bless.